What's up, kings and queens? I am Divine. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm so grateful that we have a line. Welcome back to the monarchy. Okay, so this is Tapped In Tuesday. I know it's Wednesday, but your girl had to sleep last night. Okay, listen, I had to sleep properly in like days, so I'm gonna do Tapped In Tuesday and Wind Down Wednesday both today. Okay. So Tapped In Tuesday, this is going to be about how can tarot readers and psychics and people in like new age and those new age practices and stuff, can they access, or how can they access like accurate information? Like, how do they actually know things about you if you've actually gotten a tarot reading, or you went to a psychic before, or even if you haven't and you're just wondering. Okay, and I am ex tarot reader, so this is what I got. Okay. Okay, so first of all, tarot readers and psychics and people, magicians, what the Bible calls magicians and people like that, right? They are able to access your information because of familiar spirits. Okay, so these are basically spirits that are within your bloodline, okay, that are familiar to your bloodline in terms of certain things that, right, we might call this like generational curses, right? Basically, generational curses is talking about demon spirits that have been assigned to you, because that's what Satan does, right? Satan assigns spirits to bloodlines. He assigns spirits to families. He assigns spirits to regions, right? To different territories, right? And if you watch, I watch so many of his videos, John Ramirez, right, where he's an ex-satanic priest, and he talks about how demons are assigned to certain territories, right, certain areas, right? And so that is basically what a tarot reader or a psychic or whatever it is, that is what they're picking up on, and that is who they're communicating with in order for them to get accurate information about you. Okay, so another word for a familiar spirit is a earthbound spirit, right? These are spirits that did not cross over. So yes, the enemy has demons that actually work for him, but also too, right, people who go to hell, right? Sometimes those people don't cross over into hell, right? Sometimes they are bound on earth for whatever reason, right? Well, I won't get into that in this video, but for whatever reason, they are bound on earth, right? They do not cross over to heaven, and they do not cross over to hell, but they are in hell because they're still on earth, right? Which we know. Okay, we're not gonna get into that either. That's just going too deep. But yeah, just take that for what I'm saying, okay? So how do these spirits access your information, right? Like I said, these are spirits that are part of your bloodline, or just a part of your life that Satan has assigned to you, right? Demons have assignments, and John Ramirez goes into this too, where he talks about how Satan gives you assignments, right? Satan gives you assignments for different families or different regions, different territories, or whatever, different bloodlines, or just for one specific person, and you have to execute that assignment, right? In the kingdom of darkness, you have to execute that assignment. But demons can only operate in your life legally through open doors, right? So just like we have laws, and we have courts, and we have, go read the book of Job, right, where it talks about how the devil goes to God in the court of heaven, right, and asks God, can he come for Job, right? Like, it's the same thing in the spirit realm, right? There are laws, there is legal, there is illegal, there are legalities, there are ways and operations that you are able to do things, right? And even get it twisted, right? Even the devil follows God's laws, right? Even the devil has to get in line, get in order with the way that God needs him or has him do things, right? And John Ramirez, he also talks about this, where he talks about how he used to be coming for somebody or trying to kill somebody through witchcraft or whatever, or through whatever his assignment was, and the devil would come to him and tell him, listen, you have to stop, right? You have to stop coming for that person, right? Because God is not allowing that. God is not allowing that, right? Whatever you've been doing, you have to stop. Whatever work you've been doing on this person, you have to stop, right? So don't get it twisted. Even the devil follows God's laws, okay? Follows God, the way that God does things and God's operations, okay? In terms of how he's running everything, right? The entire universe. Okay, but whether, you know, you might hear a tarot reader and they say like, oh no, I'm not talking to demons, or I'm not talking. Yes, they are. They're either doing this, or familiar spirits, they're either doing this knowingly or unknowingly, right? Like I said, I was a tarot reader, and I was a tarot reader who I was ignorant, right? I was in darkness and I didn't know it, right? So not every tarot reader is evil, and they, you know, some of them genuinely believe that what they're doing is in alignment with God, right? That's what I thought. I thought like, oh, you know, like, no, obviously there are people who are in darkness who do tarot, but I'm not one of them, right? I just thought it was the same thing. Just like there are good priests and there are bad priests, right? There are priests who are righteous, and there are priests who molest little kids, right? There are pastors who are good pastors and pastors who are bad pastors. There are pastors who are righteous, and there are other pastors who steal money from their church, right? So I was under the impression like, oh, so it's the same thing with like tarot. There are obviously people who use tarot for negative reasons and for bad and dark reasons, and there are other people who don't, right? And no, that's not true. Like, that's not what the Bible tells us, and that's not what the law of God says, and I'm going to go into why. Okay, so not every tarot reader knows that they are in darkness, or knows that they are exploiting their spiritual gifts, right? That they are under attack, right? In terms of their spirit of wisdom, their spirit of wisdom is under attack. They have a curse or a spell on them in terms of their spirit of wisdom, so they're not able to see that yes, they have a spiritual gift, right? That what do we know? The devil still kills and destroys, right? The devil just steals and copies what God does, right? So God has seers and prophets and prophetess and intercessors and things like that. And the devil has witches and warlocks and tarot readers and psychics, right? The devil just copies what it is that God creates, right? And makes and tries to make it in his own realm as well, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing where, you know, if a tarot reader thinks that they're not in darkness, or they think that there's nothing wrong with what they're doing, it's because they don't know, right? They're just ignorant to it. Okay, so like I said, these demons can only operate in your life through open doors. Okay, so they can only operate in your bloodline through open doors. So somebody has to close the door, right? And that is where the term chosen one comes from, right? Where you are chosen to break generational curses. You're chosen to cast out demons in your bloodline, to cast out demons in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, in your body, in your womb, or in your loins, right? You are chosen to be the one to close that door in your bloodline, so that certain demons, certain familiar spirits aren't able to, or earthbound spirits aren't able to operate in your life, and in your family's life, and in your bloodline's life, and in the generations after you's lives. Okay, so what is, let's read the scripture that talks about this. Deuteronomy 18 10 through 13. Okay, and it reads, there shall not be found with thee anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. One that uses, and that's sacrifice, right? Sacrificing, which we know in a lot of like cultural native practices where they do human sacrifice, where they sacrifice their children, right? And these are to demons, right? They're sacrificing, that they are cursed. They have a spell been put on them where they feel like it's okay to sacrifice your child to a demon, right? To a false god, okay? One that useth divination, one that practiceth augury, or enchanter, a witch, warlock, or a sorcerer, or a charmer, or a consulter with a familiar spirit, or a wizard, or a necromancer, which is a person who communicates with the dead. For whosoever doeth these things is an abomination unto Jehovah. And because of these abominations, Jehovah thy God do drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with Jehovah thy God. Okay? And let me read this in... Wait a minute now. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, so basically that's what I'm saying. Okay, I want to read a different translation too. Sorry about the dog, y'all. Oh, okay. Let me look it up one then. Where am I? Okay. I'm trying to make sure. Okay. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or a charmer or a medium or a necromancer or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord your God is driving them out before you. You shall be blameless before the Lord your God. Exactly. So one, why do you think he driving them out before you, right? One, driving them out as in putting them out in the open, right? Why do you think there's this explosion of people who read tarot or psychics or, you know, all these other things, right, of divination, right? Because God is driving them out. God is showing, God is separating the wheat from the chaff, right? Those who are of God and who are righteous and those who are not. Right? But also it says you shall be blameless before the Lord. You can only be blameless if those doors are closed, right? However, right, so even if you, because the only way that they're able to access accurate information, right, is if there are open doors, right? If there are open doors in your life, in your bloodline and things like that, where these familiar spirits can communicate with them and tell them things about you. These earthbound spirits can communicate with them and tell them things about you. However, even if, you know, you don't have these open doors, right? Tarot readers, they are illegally accessing, right? That before, what I was talking about is them legally being able to access information about you, and then them being able to access accurate information. Because let's be clear, people, it just says those things are an abomination to the Lord, right? So tarot readers and psychics and things, they do not have access to the secrets and to the mysteries, right? And to the plans of God. Like, they can't really, if there are no open doors, they can't really actually tell you anything about yourself that's going to be true and accurate, right? Because they don't have access to that information, right? However, tarot readers can still illegally access information about you, right? Or try to access information about you. They're not going to be able to access accurate information, but they can try to access information about you. But the reason why this goes against God is because it impedes on a person's free will, right? So if you go to a tarot reader, you go to a psychic, right? Obviously, that's not impeding on your free will. However, you are opening the door so they are able to access accurate information. However, if someone's getting a tarot reading on you, or they're going to psychics about you, or they're seeing witches or warlocks or whatever about you, right? And I'm going to make a video about how do you know if somebody's doing those types of things. But if they do that, if they are going to those people to try to get information about you, one, they're not going to be able to get accurate information, but two, they're impeding on your free will, because that's not something that you wanted them to do or allowed them to do. And think about it, free will is the one law of God that even God follows, right? Now, obviously God follows, God is love and be peaceful and, you know, being graceful or having compassion and forgiveness, right? Obviously, you know, we know God follows those principles too, but I'm talking about law, right? One law of operation in the kingdom of heaven, right? Free will. God does not impede on our free will. If we don't want to do something, God's like, okay, cool. Of course, there are going to be consequences for that, right? You reject a call, you reject God's calling on your life at your own peril. But if we don't want to do something, or if we do want to do something that goes against God, then God's not going to have any qualms about that. He's going to let you do what you want to do. He's going to continue to try to bring you in closer to him, of course, but he's not going to stop you, right? But so do you think that God's going to let humans impede on other humans' free will if even God does not impede on your free will? No. No, that's why it says it's an abomination. You think you're God now or something? You think you can do things that even God himself won't even do to other human beings? Like, no. No, that's not how it works, right? So that is why divination and you know, dark practices goes against God, because 9 times out of 10 you are impeding on another person's free will, right? Which God, that does not take kindly to that, right? So that's all that I have for now. Okay, I'm gonna go, like I said, I'm gonna go more into how do you know if a person is getting tarot readings on you. Like, what are some of the signs in your life that will come up that someone's getting a tarot reading, or they're going to psychics or witches or warlocks about you and things like that. And so I'll get more into that later, okay? So I hope this helps. I hope this heals. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Click the bell button if you want to know when I post more, and I'll be back. Deuces. The sun always moves.